Dear friends, as the night falls and the stars twinkle, Mr. Peterson is here, with a heart full of passion and deep emotion, opening up to you. In this chaotic world, Mr. Peterson's original channel is like a beacon, illuminating our shared spiritual home. Here, every story is the crystallization of Mr. Peterson's efforts. Every word is filled with Mr. Peterson's deep love for you. Mr. Peterson is well aware that there are many voices out there imitating, even plagiarizing, but please believe that the stories here are unique, woven with Mr. Peterson's blood, sweat, and tears. Mr. Peterson asks you to support originality, to support Mr. Peterson's work, because every bit of support is the greatest encouragement and recognition for Mr. Peterson. At this special moment, Mr. Peterson wants to express his deepest gratitude to every friend who supports him. May your lives be as beautiful as poetry, filled with love and hope. Now, let us step into today's story together, to feel the warmth and emotion that is uniquely Mr. Peterson's. Please get ready, Mr. Peterson's story is about to begin. Let us look forward to that touch of the soul together. Chapter 1, The Solitary Courier, A Struggle in the Shadows. In the bustling city of New York, the streets were alive with a symphony of honking horns, chattering pedestrians, and the constant hum of urban life. Amidst this chaos, there was one figure who seemed perpetually on the fringes, a shadow slipping through the cracks of society. Her name was Maya Thompson, a 28-year-old black woman with a heart full of love but burdened by a crippling social phobia. Maya worked as a courier, a job that suited her introverted nature. It allowed her to move from one place to another without having to engage in extended conversations. She would pick up packages from various offices and deliver them across the city, her days a blur of hurried footsteps and fleeting interactions. Her uniform, a simple black jacket and pants, seemed to blend her even more into the background. But Maya's real challenge lay not in her job, but in her role as a mother. She was raising triplets, 2 boys, Leo and Max, and a girl, Lily, all on her own. The father, a man she had briefly dated, had disappeared as soon as he learned of her pregnancy. Maya was left alone, facing the daunting task of raising 3 children in a city that never slept. The day began like any other. Maya woke up before the sun, her body aching from the lack of sleep. The triplets were only 2 years old, and their cries in the middle of the night were a regular occurrence. She quietly made her way to their small bedroom, a converted storage space in her tiny apartment. The room was filled with the soft glow of a night light, and the sight of her children, huddled together in their cribs, brought a small smile to her face. "Good morning, my loves," she whispered, gently waking them up. The triplets rubbed their eyes, their tiny voices babbling incoherently. Maya quickly changed their diapers and dressed them in warm clothes. She then made her way to the kitchen, where she prepared their breakfast, a simple meal of cereal and milk. As she fed the triplets, Maya's mind wandered to her day ahead. She had a stack of packages to deliver, and she knew that each stop would be a test of her nerves. She hated having to interact with people, to make small talk at the reception desks or sign for the deliveries. But she had no choice. This job was her only source of income, and she had to do whatever it took to provide for her children. After breakfast, Maya bundled the triplets into their stroller and made her way out of the apartment building. The cold morning air hit her face, and she pulled her scarf tighter around her neck. The walk to the daycare center was a short one, but it felt like an eternity. Maya kept her head down, avoiding eye contact with the other pedestrians. She could feel their eyes on her, on the triplets, and it made her skin crawl. At the daycare center, Maya handed over the triplets to the friendly staff. The teachers cooed over the children, commenting on how adorable they were. Maya forced a smile, muttered a quick thank you, and fled the building. She felt a sense of relief as she walked away, but also a twinge of guilt. She hated leaving her children, but she knew that they were in good hands. Maya then made her way to the courier company's headquarters. She picked up her delivery list and the stack of packages, her hands shaking slightly. The first stop was a large office building in Midtown. Maya took a deep breath and entered the building. The lobby was filled with people, all rushing about their business. Maya walked up to the reception desk, her heart pounding in her chest. "Excuse me," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I have a delivery for Mr. Johnson." The receptionist looked up at her, a bored expression on her face. "Name?" she asked. "Maya Thompson," Maya replied. The receptionist typed something into her computer and then pointed to a table. "Leave it there," she said. Maya placed the package on the table and signed the delivery receipt. She then turned and fled the building, her face flushed with embarrassment. She hated these interactions, hated feeling so small and insignificant. As the day wore on, Maya's anxiety only grew. Each delivery was a new challenge, a new opportunity for her social phobia to rear its ugly head. She made mistakes, forgetting to get signatures or delivering packages to the wrong offices. Her boss, a gruff man named Mr. Jenkins, was not sympathetic. "Thompson, you need to get your act together," he barked at her. "These mistakes are costing us money." Maya nodded, her eyes downcast. "I'm sorry, Mr. Jenkins," she mumbled. "It won't happen again." But Maya knew that it probably would. Her social phobia was like a shadow that followed her everywhere, a constant reminder of her inadequacies. She wondered how long she could keep this up, how long she could balance the demands of her job and her role as a mother. That evening, Maya picked up the triplets from daycare. The children were tired but happy, their faces lighting up when they saw her. Maya felt a rush of love for them, a love that was stronger than her fear. She pushed the stroller home, thinking about how lucky she was to have these three little beings in her life. When they got home, Maya cooked dinner for the triplets and then put them to bed. She then sat down on the couch, exhausted. She picked up a book, but her mind was too tired to focus. Instead, she stared at the wall, lost in thought. As she sat there, Maya realized that she was not alone. There were others out there like her, people struggling with social phobia, single parents trying to make ends meet. She knew that she had to be strong, for herself and for her children. She may be a solitary courier, a shadow in the city, but she was also a mother, and that gave her the strength to keep going. Just as she was about to turn off the lights and go to bed, there was a knock at the door. Maya froze, her heart racing. Who could it be at this time of night? She slowly got up and made her way to the door, her hand shaking as she reached for the doorknob. Chapter 2, Triplets' First Day, Challenges and Secrets. With her heart pounding in her chest, Maya slowly opened the door. Standing before her was a tall, well-dressed man. His suit looked expensive, tailored to fit his broad shoulders perfectly. He had a chiseled jaw and intense blue eyes that seemed to pierce right through her. Maya's first thought was that he was lost. "Can I help you?" she managed to stutter, her voice barely audible. The man cleared his throat. "Are you Maya Thompson?" he asked, his voice deep and smooth. Maya nodded, a sense of unease creeping over her. "Yes, I am. How can I help you?" The man reached into his pocket and pulled out a business card. "My name is Alexander Blackwood. I'm a private investigator." Maya's eyes widened in alarm. "A private investigator? What do you want with me?" Alexander took a step back, as if sensing her discomfort. "I was hired to look into your situation," he said. Maya's mind raced. Who would hire a private investigator to look into her? She had nothing to hide, at least nothing that she knew of. "I don't understand," she said. "What situation?" Alexander hesitated for a moment. "It's about the father of your children," he finally said. Maya felt a wave of anger wash over her. "He's not in our lives. He left when he found out I was pregnant. There's nothing to investigate." Alexander held up his hand. "Please, Miss Thompson. I'm just doing my job. I was hired by someone who believes there's more to the story." Maya crossed her arms over her chest. "Well, they're wrong. Now, if you'll excuse me, it's late, and I have to get to bed." She started to close the door, but Alexander put his foot in the way. "Miss Thompson, please. I just need a few minutes of your time. This could be important for you and your children." Maya glared at him. I don't have time for this. I have a full-time job and 3 children to take care of. I can't deal with some crazy investigation into a man who doesn't want anything to do with us. Alexander sighed. I understand. But I'm not going to give up. I'll be back tomorrow. Maybe you'll be more willing to talk then. He turned and walked away, leaving Maya standing in the doorway, her mind in a whirl. The next morning, Maya woke up feeling more exhausted than ever. The encounter with the private investigator had kept her up half the night. She tried to push it out of her mind as she got the triplets ready for their first day at a new daycare. The new daycare was a bit farther from their apartment, but it offered more services and seemed to be a better fit for the children. Maya had saved up for months to be able to afford it. As she walked the triplets to the daycare, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. She kept looking over her shoulder, half expecting to see Alexander Blackwood following her. But there was no sign of him. At the daycare, Maya was greeted by a cheerful woman named Mrs. Rodriguez. Welcome. We're so excited to have the triplets here, she said, smiling brightly. Maya forced a smile. Thank you. I hope they'll be okay. Mrs. Rodriguez laughed. Of course they will. We have a great team here, and we'll take excellent care of them. Maya watched as the triplets were led away to their play area. She felt a pang of sadness as she realized that they were growing up so fast. But she also felt a sense of relief. Maybe this new daycare would be a fresh start for all of them. Maya then made her way to work. She had a long day of deliveries ahead of her, and she needed to focus. But every time she stopped at a building to make a delivery, she found herself thinking about Alexander Blackwood and what he had said. Who could have hired him? And why? She had always assumed that the father of her children had simply moved on with his life. But now, she wasn't so sure. As the day wore on, Maya's anxiety grew. She made even more mistakes than usual, forgetting to check the delivery addresses properly and getting into arguments with some of the customers. Her boss, Mr. Jenkins, was furious. Thompson, this is unacceptable, he shouted at her. You're either going to shape up or ship out. I can't have someone on my team who's this unreliable. Maya felt tears welling up in her eyes. I'm sorry, Mr. Jenkins. I'll do better. I promise. But she knew that it wasn't going to be easy. Between the new daycare, the private investigator, and her job, she felt like she was being pulled in a million different directions. That evening, when Maya picked up the triplets from daycare, she could tell that something was wrong. Leo was crying, and Lily and Max looked subdued. What happened? Maya asked Mrs. Rodriguez. Mrs. Rodriguez looked uncomfortable. There was a bit of an incident. One of the other children said something mean to Leo, and it upset him. Maya's heart ached. What did they say? Mrs. Rodriguez hesitated. They called him a bastard because he doesn't have a father. Maya felt a surge of anger. How could a child say such a thing? And how could the daycare let it happen? I'm so sorry, Miss Thompson, Mrs. Rodriguez said. We've talked to the child's parents, and they've apologized. And we're going to make sure that something like this never happens again. Maya nodded. Thank you. But I'm still very disappointed. This is their first day here, and they shouldn't have to go through something like this. As Maya pushed the stroller home, she couldn't help but feel like the world was against her. She had thought that the new daycare would be a safe haven for the triplets, but now it seemed like even there, they couldn't escape the harsh realities of life. And then there was the mystery of the private investigator. Maya knew that she couldn't ignore it any longer. She needed to find out who had hired him and what they wanted. Because if it had something to do with the father of her children, it could have a huge impact on their lives. When they got home, Maya put the triplets to bed and then sat down at the kitchen table. She stared at Alexander Blackwood's business card, which she had placed in front of her. After a few minutes of hesitation, she picked up the phone and dialed the number. Hello, Mr. Blackwood. This is Maya Thompson. I think we need to talk. Chapter 3, Unexpected Encounter. Billionaire meets the mom. Maya sat at a small, rickety table in the corner of a bustling coffee shop, nervously sipping her black coffee. She had chosen this place for her meeting with Alexander Blackwood, hoping that the noise and commotion would somehow ease her anxiety. The smell of freshly brewed coffee filled the air, mingling with the chatter of customers and the hissing of the espresso machine. Alexander arrived promptly, his tall figure making its way through the crowded tables. He was dressed in a different suit today, just as expensive looking as the one from the previous night. Maya noticed that he carried a leather briefcase, which he placed carefully on the table before sitting down across from her. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with me, Miss Thompson," Alexander said, his voice polite but business-like. Maya nodded, not trusting herself to speak just yet. She took another sip of her coffee, the hot liquid burning her throat slightly. Alexander opened his briefcase and pulled out a thick file. "I've been doing some research," he began. "And I've found some interesting things about the father of your children." Maya's heart skipped a beat. "What things?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Alexander flipped open the file. "His name is not what you think it is. And he's not just some random guy you met at a bar. He comes from a very wealthy family." Maya's eyes widened in shock. "What? That's impossible. He never said anything about being rich." Alexander pointed to a photo in the file. "This is him. His real name is Benjamin Ashton. His family owns several large corporations, and they're worth billions." Maya stared at the photo, her mind reeling. The man in the photo looked familiar, but she couldn't believe that he was the same man she had dated. The Benjamin she knew had always dressed casually, never giving any indication that he was from a wealthy background. "Why didn't he tell me?" Maya asked, more to herself than to Alexander. Alexander shrugged. "That's what I'm trying to find out. But there's more. I think someone in his family hired me to look into you and the children." Maya's stomach churned. "Why? What do they want with us?" Before Alexander could answer, Maya's phone rang. It was her boss, Mr. Jenkins. She had completely forgotten that she was supposed to be on a delivery run. "I'm so sorry," Maya said, grabbing her bag. "I have to go. I'm late for work." Alexander stood up. "We're not done here, Miss Thompson. We need to talk more about this." Maya nodded. "I know. But I really have to go. Can we meet again later?" Alexander agreed, and Maya rushed out of the coffee shop, her mind still spinning with the new information. She hailed a cab and gave the driver the address of her next delivery. When she arrived at the large office building, Maya took a deep breath and tried to focus. She picked up the package from the courier van and made her way inside. The lobby was filled with well-dressed people, and Maya felt even more out of place than usual. She walked up to the reception desk and announced her delivery. The receptionist, a young woman with a headset, looked at her with a bored expression. "Take it to the 25th floor," she said, pointing to the elevators. Maya stepped into the elevator and pressed the button for the 25th floor. As the elevator ascended, she couldn't help but think about what Alexander had told her. Who were these people in Benjamin's family? And what did they want with her and the triplets? The elevator doors opened, and Maya stepped out into a luxurious hallway. The walls were lined with expensive paintings, and the carpet was so thick that her feet seemed to sink into it. She made her way to the office where she was supposed to make the delivery. When she entered the office, she was greeted by a man sitting behind a large desk. He was dressed in a designer suit, and his hair was perfectly groomed. Maya's breath caught in her throat when she realized who it was. It was Benjamin Ashton. Benjamin looked up from his paperwork and his eyes widened in surprise when he saw Maya. "Maya? What are you doing here?" he asked. Maya was too shocked to speak at first. She just stood there, staring at him. I'm here to make a delivery," she finally managed to say. Benjamin stood up and walked around the desk. "This is a coincidence. I've been meaning to get in touch with you." Maya's anger flared. "You've been meaning to get in touch with me? After all this time? You left me when you found out I was pregnant. You didn't even have the decency to say goodbye. Benjamin looked down at his feet. I know. I made a mistake. I was scared. I didn't know how to handle it. Maya scoffed. Scared? You think that's an excuse? You left me to raise 3 children on my own. Do you have any idea how hard that's been? Benjamin reached out to touch her arm, but Maya pulled away. Please, Maya. I want to make it up to you. I want to be a part of the children's lives. Maya's eyes filled with tears. It's too late for that. You had your chance, and you blew it. Just then, the door to the office opened, and a woman walked in. She was tall and elegant, with perfectly coiffed hair and a designer suit. She looked at Maya and then at Benjamin, a frown on her face. Who is this, Benjamin? The woman asked. Benjamin cleared his throat. This is Maya Thompson. She's an old friend. The woman looked Maya up and down, her eyes filled with disdain. I see. Well, I hope you're not here to cause any trouble. Benjamin has important business to attend to. Maya felt a wave of humiliation wash over her. She turned and fled the office, leaving the package on Benjamin's desk. As she ran down the hallway, she could hear Benjamin calling after her, but she didn't stop. She couldn't believe that she had run into Benjamin like this. And she couldn't believe that he had the nerve to say that he wanted to be a part of the children's lives. After all the pain and suffering he had caused her, she didn't know if she could ever forgive him. And then there was the woman in the office. Who was she? And what was her relationship with Benjamin? Maya had a feeling that things were about to get even more complicated. Chapter 4: Love Blossoms Amidst Doubts and Hurdles. Maya stumbled out of the office building, her vision blurred by a mix of anger, hurt, and confusion. The bustling city streets seemed to spin around her as she tried to make sense of what had just happened. Benjamin, the man who had abandoned her at the most vulnerable moment of her life, was suddenly back, claiming he wanted to be part of the children's lives. And that woman, who was she? The way she had looked at Maya, with such disdain, had cut deep. She hailed a cab, her hand shaking as she gave the driver the address of the next delivery. As the cab weaved through the traffic, Maya's mind kept replaying the encounter with Benjamin. His words, his expression, they all seemed so sincere. But how could she trust him? He had already proven himself untrustworthy once. When she arrived at the delivery location, Maya forced herself to focus. She couldn't afford to make any more mistakes at work. She handed over the package, collected the signature, and quickly made her way back to the courier van. The rest of the day passed in a blur, each delivery a temporary distraction from the chaos in her personal life. That evening, Maya picked up the triplets from daycare. The children were their usual energetic selves, their laughter a small bright spot in Maya's otherwise dark day. As she pushed the stroller home, she couldn't help but think about how much they had grown. They deserved a father, but could Benjamin really be that person? Back at the apartment, Maya cooked dinner for the triplets and put them to bed. She then sat down on the couch, exhausted. She picked up her phone and dialed Alexander Blackwood's number. Mr. Blackwood, it's Maya Thompson. We need to talk, she said, her voice firm. Of course, Miss Thompson. How about we meet tomorrow morning? I've found out some more information, Alexander replied. Maya agreed, and they set a time and place for the meeting. After hanging up, Maya sat in the quiet apartment, her mind racing. She knew that she needed to be strong, not just for herself but for the triplets. The next morning, Maya met Alexander at a different coffee shop. This one was a bit more secluded, which suited Maya's mood. Alexander was already there, waiting for her with a cup of coffee in front of him. Good morning, Miss Thompson. I hope you're doing well, he said, his voice sympathetic. Maya shook her head. Not really. I ran into Benjamin yesterday. He says he wants to be a part of the children's lives. Alexander raised an eyebrow. That's interesting. I've dug deeper into his family, and there's a lot more going on than we thought. He opened his briefcase and pulled out another file. The woman you saw in the office with Benjamin is his fiancée, Isabella Montgomery. Her family is also extremely wealthy, and their engagement is seen as a strategic alliance between the two families. Maya felt a lump form in her throat. Fiancé? So, he's engaged and now he wants to be a part of our lives? Alexander nodded. It seems that way. But there's more. I think Benjamin's family is worried about the triplets. They're concerned that if word gets out about their existence, it could disrupt the engagement and potentially harm the family's business interests. Maya's eyes widened. So, that's why they hired you? To find out if we're a threat? Alexander sighed. It looks that way. But I also think Benjamin has his own agenda. I've been watching him, and he seems to be genuinely interested in reconnecting with you and the children. Maya leaned back in her chair, overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. I can't just let him back into our lives, not after what he did. But at the same time, the triplets deserve to know their father. Alexander looked at her kindly. It's a difficult situation, Ms. Thompson. But you have to do what's best for you and the children. Maybe you could set some conditions for Benjamin to meet them, make sure he's serious about being a father. Maya considered his words. You're right. I need to think this through. Thank you, Mr. Blackwood. As Maya walked home, she thought about what Alexander had said. She knew that she couldn't make a decision overnight. She needed to talk to Benjamin to find out what he really wanted. And she needed to protect the triplets, no matter what. A few days later, Maya received a call from Benjamin. He sounded desperate. Maya, please. I need to talk to you. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I want to try to make things right, he said. Maya hesitated. Okay. We can meet, but just to talk. I'm not making any promises. They agreed to meet at a park near Maya's apartment. When Maya arrived, Benjamin was already there, pacing back and forth. He looked up when he saw her, and his face lit up. Thank you for coming, he said. Maya crossed her arms over her chest. Let's get this over with. What do you want? Benjamin took a deep breath. I made a huge mistake when I left you. I was scared, and I let my family's expectations get to me. But I've changed. I want to be a father to the triplets. I want to be there for them, and for you. Maya scoffed. You're engaged, Benjamin. How can you be there for us? Benjamin looked down at his feet. I know. Isabella and it's complicated. But I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make things right. I love you, Maya, and I love our children. Maya's heart softened a little at his words. She had loved Benjamin once, and a part of her still did. But she was also scared. She didn't want to get hurt again, and she didn't want the triplets to get hurt. I don't know if I can trust you, Maya said, her voice breaking. Benjamin reached out and took her hand. Please, Maya. Give me a chance. I'll prove to you that I'm serious. Maya looked into his eyes, searching for any sign of deception. She saw only sincerity and pain. After a long moment, she nodded. Okay. But we're going to take things slow. And you have to be honest with me about everything. Benjamin smiled, a tear rolling down his cheek. Thank you, Maya. You won't regret it. As they walked through the park together, Maya felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, they could make this work. But she knew that there were still many hurdles to overcome, and she was prepared to face them for the sake of her children and her own happiness. Chapter 5, Family Secrets Unravel, a Shocking Revelation. In the days following her conversation with Benjamin in the park, Maya found herself in a strange limbo. She was cautiously optimistic about the newfound connection with him, but the knowledge of his engagement to Isabella hung over her like a dark cloud. Benjamin had been true to his word, reaching out every day to check on Maya and the triplets. He even sent small gifts for the children, which Maya accepted with a mix of gratitude and trepidation. Maya's social phobia, which had seemed to ease slightly during this period, was about to face a new and unexpected challenge. One morning, as she was getting ready to take the triplets to daycare, there was a knock at the door. When she opened it, she was greeted by a middle-aged woman dressed in an expensive-looking suit. The woman had a cold, calculating look in her eyes that immediately made Maya uncomfortable. "Are you Maya Thompson?" the woman asked, her voice dripping with condescension. Maya nodded, her heart pounding in her chest. "Yes, I am. Can I help you?" The woman pushed past her and entered the apartment without waiting for an invitation. She looked around the small, modestly furnished space with a look of disdain. "I'm Victoria Ashton, Benjamin's mother," she announced. Maya's eyes widened in shock. "Mrs. Ashton, what are you doing here?" Victoria turned to face her, her expression icy. "I think you know exactly why I'm here. You and those children of yours are causing a great deal of trouble for my family." Maya's anger flared. "We're not causing any trouble. Benjamin is the one who came back into our lives. He wants to be a part of the children's lives." Victoria scoffed. "Benjamin doesn't know what he wants. He's made a foolish mistake, and I'm here to correct it. You need to stay away from him. He's engaged to Isabella, and that union is crucial for our family's future." Maya stood her ground. "I'm not going to keep the children from their father. They deserve to know him." Victoria took a step closer, her eyes narrowing. "If you don't cooperate, I can make your life very difficult. I have connections. I can make sure you lose your job, that you can't afford to take care of those children." Maya felt a wave of fear wash over her, but she refused to back down. "You can't do that. I have rights." Victoria laughed, a cold, humorless sound. "Rights? You are nobody, a single mother with a social phobia. No one will believe you if you try to fight me." Just then, the triplets, who had been playing in their room, came out into the living room. They looked up at Victoria with curious eyes, and Maya quickly stepped in front of them, as if to protect them. Victoria looked at the children, her expression softening slightly for a moment. But then she composed herself. "You have 48 hours to tell Benjamin that you don't want him in your lives. If you don't, you will regret it." With that, she turned and walked out of the apartment, slamming the door behind her. Maya sank to the floor, tears streaming down her face. She couldn't believe what had just happened. How could Benjamin's mother be so cruel? And what was she going to do? She couldn't lose her job, not when she was barely making ends meet as it was. But Maya was also determined not to let Victoria win. She decided to call Alexander Blackwood. Maybe he could help her figure out a way to deal with this. When Alexander answered the phone, Maya quickly told him what had happened. "I don't know what to do, Mr. Blackwood. She's threatening me, and I'm scared." Alexander's voice was calm and reassuring. "Don't worry, Miss Thompson. This is exactly the kind of thing I was afraid of. Benjamin's family is used to getting what they want, and they'll stop at nothing to protect their interests. But we're not going to let them push you around." He went on to explain that he had been doing some more digging and had uncovered a potential leverage point against the Ashtons. There's a scandal in the family's past, something they've been trying to keep hidden. If we threaten to go public with it, they might back off. Maya was skeptical. "Do you think that will work? They seem so powerful." Alexander sighed. "It's a risk, but it might be our best shot. I'll need a few days to gather all the evidence and prepare a strategy. In the meantime, try to stay calm. And don't let Benjamin's mother intimidate you." Maya thanked him and hung up the phone. She knew that she was in for a difficult few days, but she was determined to fight for her children and for her own happiness. As if things couldn't get any more complicated, later that day, Maya received a call from her boss, Mr. Jenkins. His voice was unusually serious. "Thompson, I need you to come into the office. We need to talk," he said. Maya's heart sank. She had a feeling that this had something to do with Victoria Ashton. When she arrived at the office, Mr. Jenkins was waiting for her in his office. He motioned for her to sit down. "Thompson, I've received some concerning information about you," he began. "It seems that you're involved in some kind of legal dispute. I can't have that kind of negative publicity associated with my company." Maya's eyes widened. What? No, it's not true. It's just a misunderstanding. Mr. Jenkins held up his hand. I'm sorry, Thompson, but I have to think about the reputation of the company. I'm going to have to let you go. Maya felt like the world was crashing down around her. First Benjamin's mother, and now this. She couldn't believe that she was losing her job. She tried to plead with Mr. Jenkins, but he was unmoved. As she walked out of the office, Maya felt completely alone. She had no idea how she was going to take care of the triplets now. But then, just as she was about to give up hope, her phone rang. It was an unknown number. When she answered, a man's voice on the other end said, Miss Thompson, I think I can help you. My name is William Hastings, and I have a proposition for you. Chapter 6. The Socialite Scheme Threatening the Newfound Happiness. Maya stood on the sidewalk, her mind reeling from the sudden loss of her job. The phone pressed tightly against her ear. She listened intently to the voice of William Hastings. Miss Thompson, I'm aware of your current situation. I represent a group that has an interest in seeing you and your children well taken care of, he said, his tone smooth and confident. Who are you? And why would you want to help me? Maya asked, her voice laced with suspicion. She had been burned too many times to trust a stranger's offer so easily. William chuckled softly. Let's just say I have my reasons. I have a business proposition for you. It involves a short-term project that could provide you with enough money to get back on your feet. And if all goes well, there could be more opportunities in the future. Maya was intrigued despite herself. What kind of project? I can't go into too many details over the phone. But it's nothing illegal, I assure you. It mainly involves using your unique perspective and experiences. I believe you'd be perfect for it. Can we meet in person to discuss it further? Maya hesitated. On one hand, she desperately needed a way to support her family. On the other, she was wary of getting involved with yet another unknown factor in her already complicated life. I don't know. I need some time to think about it. Of course, Miss Thompson. I understand. But I must warn you, time is of the essence. I can meet you tomorrow morning, if that works for you. There's a small cafe on Fifth Avenue, called the Morning Brew. Say, 9 a.m.? Maya bit her lip. All right. I'll be there. After hanging up, she took a deep breath, trying to calm her nerves. She knew she was taking a risk, but right now, she didn't have many options. Meanwhile, in the luxurious penthouse of the Ashton family, Victoria Ashton was in a meeting with Isabella Montgomery. Isabella, with her perfectly coiffed blonde hair and designer dress, looked every bit the part of a wealthy socialite. Victoria, we can't let this woman and her children ruin everything. Benjamin is starting to have second thoughts about our engagement, and it's all because of her, Isabella said, her voice filled with annoyance. Victoria nodded, her expression grave. I know, Isabella. I paid a visit to her this morning. I thought I could scare her off, but she's more stubborn than I thought. She refused to listen to reason. Isabella crossed her legs and leaned back in her chair. We need to come up with a more drastic plan. Something that will make Benjamin see that she's not the right woman for him, that our union is the best thing for his future and the family's. Victoria's eyes narrowed. I have an idea, but it will require some careful planning. The next morning, Maya arrived at the Morning Brew a few minutes early. She was dressed in her best outfit, a simple black dress that she had bought on sale years ago. As she waited for William Hastings, she couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. What if this was some kind of trap? Just then, a tall, well-dressed man entered the cafe. He scanned the room and then made his way over to Maya. Miss Thompson? I'm William Hastings, he said, extending his hand. Maya shook his hand, noting how firm his grip was. Mr. Hastings. Thank you for meeting me. William sat down across from her. No need to thank me. Now, let's get down to business. As I said, I represent a group that's interested in creating a series of articles and interviews about single mothers and their struggles. We believe your story could be a powerful addition to our project. Maya listened intently as William explained the details. The project would involve a few weeks of interviews, photo shoots, and some light research. In return, she would be paid a substantial amount of money. It sounded almost too good to be true. I'm still not sure why you chose me, Maya said. There are plenty of single mothers out there. William smiled. Your story is unique, Miss Thompson. You have triplets, and you've been raising them on your own despite your social phobia. Plus, there's the connection to the Ashton family. That adds an extra layer of interest. Maya's eyes widened. You know about that? William nodded. Yes, I do. But rest assured, our focus will be on your experiences as a mother, not on the drama with the Ashtons. We want to give a voice to women like you, who are often overlooked. Maya was still hesitant, but the offer was starting to sound more appealing. What if I agree to do this, and something goes wrong? What if the Ashtons find out and try to stop me? William leaned forward. We have ways of protecting our subjects. And if the Ashtons do try to interfere, we have the resources to fight back. This project is important, Miss Thompson. It could change your life and the lives of many of the women. Maya took a deep breath. I'll need to think about it some more. Can I get back to you in a few days? William nodded. Of course. But remember, time is limited. I hope you'll make the right decision. As Maya left the cafe, she felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe this project could be the answer to her prayers. But she also knew that she was walking a fine line. If the Ashtons found out about this, they might try to stop her at all costs. Unbeknownst to Maya, Isabella and Victoria had been watching her from a nearby car. So, she's considering William Hastings' offer. This could work in our favor, Isabella said, a devious smile on her face. Victoria nodded. Yes, it could. We just need to make sure that everything goes according to plan. We'll need to keep a close eye on her and Hastings. And when the time is right, we'll strike. Chapter 7, Battling Inner Demons, Social Phobia versus New Life. Maya spent the next 2 days in a state of constant internal turmoil. The offer from William Hastings was a glimmer of hope in her otherwise bleak situation, yet her social phobia and the fear of the unknown held her back. Every time she thought about agreeing to the project, images of the Ashtons' menacing faces flashed in her mind. She worried about the potential backlash, not only for herself but for her precious triplets. At home, she tried to maintain a sense of normalcy for the children. But the weight of her decision was evident in her strained smile and distracted demeanor. The triplets, with their innocent eyes, could sense that something was amiss. Leo, the more perceptive of the three, often clung to her leg, looking up at her with concern. "Mommy, are you sad?" he would ask, his small voice tugging at Maya's heartstrings. Maya would force a brighter expression and reply, "No, sweetie. Mommy's just thinking about some grown-up things." She would then hug him tightly, as if trying to draw strength from his small body. Meanwhile, in the Ashton penthouse, Victoria and Isabella were hard at work on their devious plan. They had hired a private investigator of their own, someone far more ruthless than Alexander Blackwood. His name was Vincent Russo, and he had a reputation for getting results, no matter the cost. "Russo, we need you to dig up every little thing on Maya Thompson and this William Hastings," Victoria instructed, her eyes cold and calculating. "Find out what they're planning, and if there's any way we can use it against them." Isabella added, "And don't forget to keep an eye on Benjamin. He's been acting strange lately, and I'm worried he might do something stupid." Russo nodded, a sly smile playing on his lips. "Consider it done, ladies. I'll have a report for you in a few days." Back in Maya's world, Benjamin had been growing increasingly frustrated with the lack of communication from Maya. He had called her several times, but she had either ignored his calls or given him short, evasive answers. Concerned, he decided to pay her a visit. When he arrived at Maya's apartment building, he noticed a black car parked across the street. There was a man inside, smoking a cigarette and watching the building intently. Benjamin's curiosity was piqued, but he dismissed it as a coincidence and made his way up to Maya's apartment. He knocked on the door, and after a few moments, Maya opened it. Her eyes widened in surprise at the sight of him. "Benjamin? What are you doing here?" Benjamin stepped forward, his expression a mix of worry and determination. "Maya, we need to talk. You've been avoiding me, and I know something's wrong. Please, let me in." Maya hesitated for a moment, then stepped aside to let him in. As Benjamin entered the apartment, he noticed how cluttered and stressed looking it was. There were piles of bills on the kitchen table, and Maya looked exhausted. "Are you okay?" Benjamin asked, his voice softening. Maya sighed. "I've been better. I lost my job, Benjamin. And then this guy, William Hastings, came along with this crazy offer. I don't know what to do." Benjamin listened intently as Maya explained the details of the project. His brow furrowed in concern. "Maya, this could be dangerous. The Ashtons won't like this. They'll do anything to stop you." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "I know. But I need the money, Benjamin. I have to think about the children." Just then, there was a knock at the door. Maya's heart skipped a beat. She had a feeling it was either William Hastings or someone from the Ashtons. She slowly walked over to the door and opened it. Standing there was Vincent Russo. He looked Maya up and down, a sneer on his face. "Miss Thompson? I have a few questions for you." Benjamin stepped forward, his protective instincts kicking in. "Who are you? And what do you want with Maya?" Russo ignored Benjamin and focused on Maya. "I know about your little meeting with Hastings. You're playing with fire, lady. The Ashtons don't take kindly to people who mess with their family." Maya's face paled. I don't know what you're talking about." Russo laughed. "Save it. I have ways of finding out the truth. And if you don't cooperate, things could get very ugly for you and your kids." Benjamin's anger flared. "Get out of here. You can't come in here and threaten us." Russo glared at Benjamin. "You should watch your tone, Mr. Ashton. You're not in a position to make demands." With that, Russo turned and walked away. Maya sank to the floor, sobbing. Benjamin sat down beside her and put his arm around her. "It's going to be okay, Maya. We'll figure this out together." But Maya wasn't so sure. She felt like she was caught in a web, with no way out. And as she looked at Benjamin, she wondered if he was really on her side or if he was just another pawn in the Ashtons' game. Chapter 8. The Big Betrayal. Hearts Torn Apart. In the days following Vincent Russo's menacing visit, Maya found herself on edge, constantly looking over her shoulder. Benjamin, determined to prove his loyalty and support, had practically moved into Maya's small apartment. He took on the role of a protector, handling daily tasks like grocery shopping and even attempting to soothe the triplets when their mother's anxiety became too overwhelming. Despite Benjamin's efforts, Maya remained skeptical. His sudden reappearance in her life, paired with the looming threat from his family, made it difficult for her to fully trust him. Every time he left the apartment, she wondered if he was off to report back to his mother and Isabella. The thought gnawed at her, creating a growing rift between them. One evening, as the triplets were finally asleep, Benjamin and Maya sat at the kitchen table, sipping tea in silence. The air was thick with unspoken tension. Benjamin finally broke the quiet, his voice soft but serious. "Maya, we can't keep living like this. We need to make a plan, to stand up to my family together." Maya looked up at him, her eyes filled with doubt. "How, Benjamin? Your mother has already shown how far she's willing to go. She got me fired from my job, and now this Russo guy is breathing down our necks. What can we do against that kind of power?" Benjamin reached across the table and took her hand. "I have some money saved. We could leave the city, start over somewhere new. Away from my family and their influence." Maya pulled her hand away. Just like that? Run away? What about my life here, the friends I've made, the daycare for the kids? And what about your business, your responsibilities? Benjamin's face fell. I can't keep living like this, torn between you and my family. I want to be with you and the kids, but you're not giving me a chance. Before Maya could respond, her phone rang. It was William Hastings. She hesitated for a moment, then answered. Hello, Mr. Hastings. Miss Thompson, I've been trying to reach you. I heard about the visit from Russo. I'm worried about you, William said, his voice filled with concern. Maya shot a quick glance at Benjamin. How did you know about that? I have my sources. Listen, I have a way to get you out of this mess. But you need to trust me. Can we meet tomorrow? Maya bit her lip. I don't know. Benjamin's here, and... Benjamin snatched the phone from her hand. Who is this? What are you up to? William's voice on the other end was calm. Mr. Ashton, I assume. I'm just trying to help Maya and her children. You should be grateful. Benjamin scoffed. Help? You're the one who got her into this in the first place with your crazy project offer. Maya grabbed the phone back. Benjamin, stop. Mr. Hastings, I'll meet you tomorrow. Where? They arranged a meeting at an old bookstore on the outskirts of the city, a place Maya used to visit when she needed to escape the world. After hanging up, she turned to Benjamin, who was fuming. How could you? After everything I've done for you, you're still going to meet with him? Benjamin demanded. Maya stood up, her hands shaking. I'm trying to protect my children, Benjamin. You don't seem to understand that. Your family is a threat, and I need to explore every option. Benjamin paced the small kitchen. You're making a mistake. This guy is trouble. I can feel it. The next day, Maya made her way to the bookstore. She was nervous, constantly checking to see if anyone was following her. When she arrived, William was already there, waiting for her in a secluded corner. Miss Thompson, thank you for coming. I know this is a difficult time for you, William said, offering her a seat. Maya sat down, her eyes fixed on him. What's your plan, Mr. Hastings? And why are you so interested in helping me? William leaned forward, his expression serious. The Ashtons have wronged many people over the years. I have my own reasons for wanting to see them fall. I have evidence that could destroy their reputation, but I need your help to release it at the right time. Maya's eyes widened. Evidence? What kind of evidence? Before William could answer, the door of the bookstore burst open. In walked Victoria Ashton, flanked by Vincent Russo and several burly men. Thought you could get away with it, didn't you? Victoria sneered. You and this snake. You're both going to pay for trying to ruin my family. Maya looked at William, betrayal written all over her face. You set me up? You're working with them? William stood up, a smug smile on his face. I'm sorry, Miss Thompson. Business is business. The Ashtons offered me a deal I couldn't refuse. Maya felt like the ground had been pulled out from under her. She had trusted William, and he had betrayed her. And now, she was at the mercy of the Ashtons, with no one to turn to. Chapter 9, Redemption and Reconciliation, A Second Chance at Love. Maya stood frozen in the old bookstore, her heart pounding in her chest as she stared at William Hastings, the man she had briefly hoped would be her savior. Victoria Ashton's mocking laughter filled the air, sending shivers down Maya's spine. The burly men flanking Victoria and Vincent Russo seemed to close in on her, making the small, once cozy space feel like a prison. Just as Maya was about to give in to despair, the door of the bookstore swung open once again. This time, it was Benjamin. His eyes were wild, scanning the room until they landed on Maya. Maya, he shouted, rushing towards her. Victoria's face contorted with anger. Benjamin, what are you doing here? This is none of your business. Benjamin ignored his mother and placed himself protectively in front of Maya. It's very much my business. I'm not going to let you hurt her or the children. Victoria scoffed. You're being foolish. This woman and her brats are a stain on our family's reputation. We need to get rid of them." Benjamin turned to face his mother, his voice firm. "No, Mother. You're the one who's wrong. I love Maya, and I love our children. I'm done hiding and letting you control my life." William Hastings, who had been watching the exchange with amusement, stepped forward. "This is all very touching, but it doesn't change the fact that you're all in trouble. The Ashtons have the upper hand here." Maya, still reeling from the betrayal, was suddenly struck by a thought. She noticed a briefcase at William's feet, one she hadn't seen before. "What's in the briefcase, William?" she asked, her voice steady despite her fear. William's eyes flickered nervously. "It's nothing. Just some papers." Maya didn't believe him. She lunged for the briefcase, but William grabbed her arm. Benjamin, seeing this, punched William in the face. As William stumbled backwards, the briefcase fell open, and papers spilled out. Maya looked down at the papers and gasped. There were documents that proved not only William's betrayal but also some of the illegal activities the Ashtons had been involved in. There were records of bribes, tax evasion, and shady business deals. Victoria's eyes widened in horror when she saw the papers. "What is this? How did you get these?" she demanded, looking at William. William, holding his bleeding nose, stammered, I was going to use them as insurance, in case you double-crossed me." Benjamin picked up one of the papers and looked at his mother. "This is it, Mother. Your reign of terror is over. If you don't back off and leave Maya and the children alone, I'm going to the police with these." Victoria's face turned pale. She looked at the men behind her, who seemed unsure of what to do. After a long, tense moment, she turned to Benjamin. "You'll regret this, Benjamin. You're choosing this nobody over your own family." Benjamin shook his head. "No, Mother. I'm choosing love and honesty over your lies and manipulation." With that, Victoria, Vincent Russo, and the burly men turned and left the bookstore. Maya sank to the floor, exhausted and in shock. Benjamin sat down beside her and put his arm around her. "I'm so sorry, Maya. I should have believed you about William. I should have been here sooner," he said, his voice filled with regret. Maya looked up at him, tears in her eyes. "You came. That's what matters. And we found the evidence. Maybe we can finally be free of this." Benjamin nodded. "We will. I promise. From now on, I'm going to be by your side, no matter what." As they sat there in the quiet bookstore, surrounded by the scattered papers that held the key to their future, Maya felt a glimmer of hope. For the first time in a long time, she dared to believe that she and Benjamin could build a life together, a life free from the shadow of the Ashtons. And as she looked at the man she loved, she knew that they had both been given a second chance at love. Chapter 10, Epilogue, A New Beginning for the Unlikely Family. Months had passed since that fateful day in the old bookstore. The once stormy clouds that had loomed over Maya's life had finally cleared, replaced by a warm, golden sunshine that seemed to herald a new era. Benjamin had made good on his promise to stand by Maya and their children. He had cut all ties with his controlling family, forfeiting his share of the Ashton fortune without a second thought. It wasn't an easy decision, as the Ashton name carried a lot of weight and influence, but Benjamin knew that his true family was now Maya and the Triplets. He had taken on a series of odd jobs, from freelance consulting in the business field he was familiar with to helping out at a local hardware store. It was a far cry from the luxurious corporate life he was accustomed to, but he found a new sense of fulfillment in providing for his loved ones through his own hard work. Maya, too, had undergone a remarkable transformation. Her social phobia, though still present, no longer held her captive. With Benjamin's unwavering support and the love of her children, she had found the courage to step out of her comfort zone. She had even started a small business of her own, creating handmade baby clothes and accessories. At first, she was terrified of interacting with customers, but Benjamin would be by her side, encouraging her to engage and share her passion. Slowly but surely, she got the hang of it. The local community had embraced her work, and her little shop was quickly becoming a favorite among new parents in the neighborhood. There were times when she would get overwhelmed with orders, but Benjamin and the kids would jump in to help. The triplets loved sorting buttons and ribbons, and their innocent chatter filled the workspace, making even the most hectic days enjoyable. The triplets, Leo, Max, and Lily, were thriving. They had a father who was now an active part of their lives, someone who would take them to the park, read them bedtime stories, and teach them how to ride their bikes. Their laughter filled the small, cozy house that Maya and Benjamin had bought together, a far cry from the cramped apartment where Maya had once struggled to make ends meet. One sunny afternoon, as Benjamin was teaching Leo to ride his bike without training wheels, Maya watched from the sidelines, her heart swelling with pride. Leo was initially scared, but Benjamin's patient encouragement helped him gain the confidence to pedal on his own. Max and Lily were cheering their brother on, running alongside him as he wobbled down the street. On a bright, sunny Saturday morning, Maya and Benjamin sat on the porch swing, sipping coffee and watching the triplets play in the front yard. "I still can't believe how far we've come," Maya said, leaning her head on Benjamin's shoulder. The porch was decorated with colorful flowers that Maya had planted, adding to the warm and inviting atmosphere of their home. Benjamin smiled and kissed the top of her head. "Neither can I. But I'm so grateful for every moment of it. You and the kids are my world now." As they sat there, they heard a small squabble break out between Max and Lily over a toy. Benjamin got up to intervene, using the opportunity to teach them about sharing and taking turns. Maya watched with a soft smile, appreciating how well Benjamin had stepped into his role as a father. Just then, the mailman arrived, dropping a stack of letters in the mailbox. Benjamin got up to retrieve them. As he sorted through the envelopes, he came across one that caught his attention. It was a thick, official-looking envelope with the logo of a law firm on it. He opened the envelope and quickly scanned the contents. His eyes widened in surprise. "Maya, you need to see this," he said, handing her the letter. Maya read the letter, her hand flying to her mouth in shock. "Oh my God. The Ashtons are being investigated for all those illegal activities we found in the papers. And it looks like Victoria is going to be held personally accountable." The letter detailed how the authorities had been building a case against the Ashtons based on the evidence they had uncovered. There were rumors that the family's business empire was on the verge of crumbling. Benjamin nodded. "It's justice, finally. She can't hurt us or anyone else anymore." Maya put the letter down and looked out at the children. "This is a new beginning for us, Benjamin. A chance to build a life without fear and worry." Benjamin took her hand. "Yes, it is. And I can't wait to see what the future holds for our family." As if on cue, the triplets ran up to the porch, their faces flushed with excitement. "Mommy, Daddy, look what we found!" Leo shouted, holding up a small, colorful rock. Maya and Benjamin laughed. "It's beautiful, sweetie," Maya said. "Just like our family." The children then proceeded to tell them a long, convoluted story about how they found the rock in the backyard and how they thought it was a magical treasure. Later that evening, after the triplets were tucked into bed, Maya and Benjamin sat in the living room, enjoying the quiet. The living room was filled with family photos, memories of their journey together. Benjamin reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, velvet box. "Maya, there's something I've been wanting to ask you for a long time," he said, getting down on one knee. He had spent days planning this moment, making sure everything was perfect. He had even asked the triplets for their help in choosing the ring, and they were overjoyed at the idea of their parents getting married. Maya's eyes filled with tears as she realized what was happening. Benjamin opened the box, revealing a simple, yet elegant diamond ring. "Maya Thompson, will you marry me? I want to spend the rest of my life with you, loving you and our children." His voice was filled with emotion, and he looked up at Maya with adoration. Maya nodded, sobbing. "Yes, Benjamin. 1,000 times, yes." Benjamin slipped the ring onto her finger and then stood up, pulling her into a passionate kiss. As they held each other, Maya knew that all the pain and suffering she had endured had been worth it. She had found her happily ever after, not in a fairy tale, but in the arms of a man who loved her unconditionally and in the laughter of her children. And as she looked around the room, filled with the warmth of their new home, she knew that this was the beginning of a beautiful new chapter in their lives. They talked late into the night, making plans for their future, dreaming of a big wedding where their friends and the now reformed community around them could celebrate their love. They also discussed expanding their family, maybe adding a few more little ones to fill their home with even more laughter and love.